Today I want to run a product review past you. I recently upgraded my stereo system in my home entertainment system, if you will, so that my obsolete old TV could use HDMI inputs. It still is the obsolete old TV, but it has DVI. And I've converted DVI into a new stereo, and the stereo takes HDMI input. So I've now got a lot more digital coming into the in the system, and so I've hooked up my new Apple TV, my new Mac Mini, and my Blu-ray player and my Wii all into the thing. And as anybody who has one of those kind of situations knows, you kind of get into the situation where you have to turn the TV on, you have to turn the TV to the right input, you have to turn the stereo on, you have to turn the stereo to the right input so that it's, in this case, because some of them are HDMI, some of them aren't, and then you have to, of course, have the individual devices on. And so I had a collection of remotes that looked like this. I've got a keyboard there, I've got a mouse pad, I've got the Wii remotes, I've got the Blu-ray player, TV, and stereo, and Apple TV remote. And it's quite cumbersome, and frankly it was confusing the heck out of my dad, if no one else, when he came over, although I think he had the kids run it. But it was, it was like, put this on this, put that on that, and the other thing. And I've never really wanted to get a universal remote because some of my equipment's kind of doesn't match up with a lot of universal remotes, but on top of that it doesn't really solve the problem. It just gives you one remote, then you have to switch back and forth between the two. So when I came across this at Costco the other day, which is the Logitech Harmony 700 universal remote, I kind of looked at it and I thought, it kind of halfway sounds like it's what I want. And it turns out it is exactly what I want. It has replaced all of my remotes with a couple of caveats, but they're small caveats, so I'll explain them in a minute. What it does is, not only is it a universal remote, and it is programmed through the website, which means you can program it on the computer, and it's much easier to program because you just go to the website, search, and say, I have an Onkyo SR1958, and it looks up all the information, downloads it, programs it, and it syncs it to the remote. The remote's rechargeable batteries, and then instead of just having a remote, you program in what they call activities, and the activities are a sequence of events. So if I want to watch TV, which in my case I equate to using the Apple TV, because I don't have cable, then it turns on the TV and switches it to the correct input. Turns on the stereo, switches it to the correct input, and in this case on the Apple TV it doesn't turn it on, and then it programs the buttons on the remote so that they are not only appropriate, like volume up, volume down works the stereo, but the play and the pause and the arrow keys work the Apple TV. And then you also have this touchscreen area where you can bring up the individual devices and have all function for all devices if for some reason you wanted to change something on the TV, which under normal circumstances I wouldn't. You power it off, it turns everything back off. If you switch to another device, another activity, say you switch to the Blu-ray, it changes the input on the TV, changes the input on the stereo, fires up the Blu-ray player, and switches out the remote so that now the play is, it works extremely well. The only thing that happens is if you accidentally turn the TV off or something manually, then everything gets out of kind of whack, and it doesn't, when it tries to power on the TV, it really powers, or when it tries to power off the TV, it tries to power on the TV, etc. And that's a minor problem. But other than that, it works brilliantly. It works with the Apple TV, it works with everything. Of course, it doesn't work with the Mac Mini. It does switch to it and get you all ready for it, but you still really need a keyboard and a mouse because it's a computer. And it does not exactly work with the Wii because the Wii doesn't use IR remotes, it uses Bluetooth, and you have to have the shaky remote anyway. So it turns everything on and it switches it to the Wii, but then you have to switch to the Wii controller. It couldn't work. So apart from that though, I'm loving it. This has replaced all that stuff with this. And that's not a lot, and it's a lot easier to manage, and it's certainly a lot easier to tell somebody just, oh, you want to watch a movie? Press watch movies. And it takes care of it. It's a great remote. It was $97 at Costco. I bought it at Costco because if it didn't work, it was going to go back. Because it's too much money to spend on a remote if it doesn't work flawlessly. And so far, it's perfect. I love it.